And welcome to the first thrifting video I've done in far too long now. I think it's been 7 months now since the last one. That's got to be some kind of record on my part. And to put this in perspective, I try and do at least one of these per quarter. But it hasn't been for lack of trying. I've been thrifting plenty of times this year. It's just that I think I can honestly say this has been the single worst year for thrifting that I have ever experienced. And I've been doing this since 2004, 2005, and I've seen plenty of ups and downs, but yeah, this year is just horrible. So, how did I get this episode together? It was just a bit of dumb luck, and it was also just my annual little mini pilgrimage down just south of town to the antique stores down there. So, admittedly, we're not even truly thrifting today. But anyway, down there we've got three stores, one on one side of the interstate, two on the other. And it's just worked out that, for one, this is the first time that I've been down there and all three of them happen to be open. And then also, I actually shot footage at all of them, and I even bought at least one item at each store. I know that's an accomplishment for me. So, anyway, the title of this episode is a bit of an understatement. For whatever reason, I just found a crap ton of old radios this time. So, I hope you really like, especially pre-Conelrad era radios. Yeah, this one truly goes out to all you tube and transistor freaks out there. Making our annual, this time rain soaked, pilgrimage to I29 Antiques. And in case you thought I was joking, yeah, I had to find my way around a water obstacle course to get to their usual motley cast of characters along the roadside. Eh, BFD, RF. Now, the roadkill zombie swan, that's what I come here to see. Now, you might think that's a huge puddle of rainwater, but it's just King Kong gearing up for his colonoscopy. Well, I am known to say that it's perpetual Halloween in archive land. Just another bit of proof. Looks like one of the aliens from one of the past episodes got booted off the trailer. Typical boorish alien. In the store, the very VHS issue of Back to the Future that I got when I was a kid. And yeah, I think it was $2.50 at McDonald's, with the purchase of an extra value meal. Doesn't make it glass case worthy, though. But anyway, mixed in with the records was a bunch of Marilyn Monroe ephemera. I had no idea there was a soundtrack album for Some Like It Hot, but that would be what, like 2 songs? Bob Newhart's final album, which I've never seen on vinyl before. A Ronco album, and the same empty compilation album sleeve we've run into in the past. 3D Hollywood. This is a compilation of stereoscopic photographs taken by silent film star Harold Lloyd. A little pricey at $12, but it was in such great condition, I snagged it. Insert state of affairs joke here. These were $10 a pop. I have no idea if that's good or not, nor do I care. Hey, wait, is that a Beach Boys songbook? It sure is. Geez, I don't even recognize some of those songs. Anyway, if I pan over, you'll see that they've still got those issues of Famous Monsters of Filmland kicking around, and the price still hasn't budged, and I could still fleabay them for less. Yeah, cut those prices in half and then we'll talk. The first of many radios today, and this one looks like it's been used for target practice after being buried in the backyard. Which is a shame because this actually looks kinda nice. It's a Westminster brand, and it allegedly works, but when it's that beaten up and when they want $56 for it, that's just a flat no from me. And I bet you the transistors are on their last legs too. Hey, anyone want to get their tintype taken? Yes, I know it's not a tintype. Anyway, another radio. And this is a Stuart Warner Companion Jr., presumably from the 40s. And it looks like it's capable of picking up shortwave in addition to the usual AM. It's missing knobs, it's beaten up, but damned if it isn't cool. Stashed away in the back, well, all those lovely tubes. But what I wanted to point out here was this little stash of B batteries, B cell, I guess, from the mid to late 40s. They're probably an outright biohazard at this point, but I can honestly say it's something I almost never see. And we have just begun watching the river run. I don't know why I just thought of that now. Or what Loggins and Messina has to do with the old Fox Video Shirley Temple VHS collection. Oh well. Insert Chuck Norris joke here. Anyway, I just wanted to prove once and for all that Sioux Falls indeed had a video update store at some point. I don't remember it though. I love this movie, and if you look at the price tag, $2. So either somebody else is a fan or it's just serendipity. Anyway, this is an original 1985-86-ish issue of Better Off Dead, the best ever movie to include a claymation hamburger that sings Van Halen. Now, why hasn't that movie gotten a proper restoration? Anyway, this seemed random at first. W.C. Fields and Mae West Glassware. They only did one movie together, My Little Chickadee, which I actually really enjoyed. But it turns out these were part of a whole series of classic comedian glasses. And there's an Abbott and Costello one back there. Now, this fooled me at first. Usually, these optimized for CD dubs cassette tapes are Type 2s, and I'm always looking for shorter length Type 2s, but these are indeed standard Type 1s, hidden in the fine print. Okay, forget the subject matter of this particular tape. I've gotten lots of requests to cover these Global Zero disposable tapes. They're distinctive from their lack of windows and their oddball undersides. These things were effectively made to be played once or twice, then thrown out. I would have picked this up if it weren't, well, disintegrating on me. But yeah, seriously, I don't think I'd ever be able to fix the shell on that one. I've got a few tapes from Gene Tracy. He was the king of the dirty truck stop comedy tape back in the 70s. And indeed, a viewer actually sent me one recently. I would cover these, but they're probably a little too dirty for YouTube. And no, they're not funny at all. They're just crude for the sake of crude. But anyway, thank God for the slow focus on my phone. Did I mention I got a new phone? But yeah, this is another Gene Tracy tape, and no, I did not pick either of them up. I've been kind of wanting to get my CB base station up and running again. The Sears unit I've got is okay, but it is a little low end. So I was happy to see this GE 40 channel unit, and the tag claims it works. Let's see how true that is. Well, I'm getting a little grinding out of it, but that's about it. Even when I turn the blanking off and turn the squelch all the way down and put the gain up, I'm not getting any, at the very least, static. Even though I don't have a load attached, I think I'm good to very quickly check this one. Nada. No feedback, no nothing. Bummer. And the price was right, too. Now, this fooled me. I figured it was from some old dirty bookstore or something and was emptied out, but yeah, it turns out it's still quite well stocked. So that's where Doobie Dan disappeared too. And hardy har har. And the haul from this store consists of 3D Hollywood, a collection of stereoscopic photos taken by Harold Lloyd and compiled by his granddaughter. And found off camera, I grabbed a spare cassette caddy. I'm either going to move some of my master tapes, work tapes, and calibration tapes in there, or just house some of the archive's more infamous tapes. Moving on, and it looks like we've changed back to the previous owners, and name and sign. The worst part is I've completely lost track of the names at this point. Some early Paul Revere and the Raiders, repackaged by Pickwick. And I would ask where this Billy Joel album was when I was working on the CX episode, but this standard copy looks even worse than the one I used in the episode. Anyway, LPs were $9 a piece, and there are some decent titles in here, but there was only one that I deemed $9 good. Find out what that was at the end of the segment. Hey, the first Doobie Brothers album from 1971, which sold jack at the time. And yeah, of course, it's not an original issue. It's got the palm trees, so the pressing is at least from 73. But otherwise, there are some decent titles, but yeah, just most of them are not $9 good. An 8mm, if not dual 8 movie camera. Now, I do want one of these, but I want it to have some kind of onboard sound, and then find some place that can process the film. Otherwise, someone was either a professional photographer or some kind of hardcore hobbyist, because it's pretty rare I see zoom lenses, exposure meters, timers, and so on in the wild. But of course, exposure meter would mean something completely different these days, alas. I had an earlier edition of this, the complete National Geographic, on CD-ROM. It was always a real trip to look back at ads and articles from the late 19th and early 20th century. Needless to say, I was massively tempted to pick this up. The price was right, but I know I would probably never get around to digging through it. A pinback to plug Amy Grant's Heart in Motion album. That ranks pretty high on the random meter. And if your last name is Short, you probably don't want to evoke images of a short temper. Now that's a man's vacuum cleaner. No electricity, you just pump that bastard. Raw. Wonder if there's any happy hamsters living in there. Anyway, as much as I love broadcast history, this is stupid. Yes, it's a light from Kello TV, the first TV station in South Dakota, but it's just a basic Klieg light that someone stenciled the station's call letters onto. It is not worth $150. An electronic stash. I see so few of these anymore. A CED player. Granted, a basic early mono sound, no remote control, mechanical loading CED player, but still. And they want $600 for it. Even with 3 dozen movies, it's not remotely worth that. Otherwise, a nice enough Fisher receiver, and a very scary looking and really, really early, like 1920s early, Crosley AM radio. And on top of that, a few sealed 8 tracks that are also stupidly overpriced. Really, $23 for ABBA. Speaking of 8 tracks, I still need to either repair or replace my Pioneer 8-track deck. And I found I really, really like Pioneer 8-track decks when they work. And here's an early model Sega Genesis. I wouldn't mind a Model 1, but it is a pretty low priority, and yeah, that is overpriced. A Heathkit stereo amp, operative word kit. Nothing against them, I'm just not after one. Behind the glass, a Vader 4 Atari 2600 with storage case, and once again, horribly overpriced. Of course, I bought my wood grain Atari with case and games at a garage sale for $5 when I was in 5th or 6th grade. Otherwise, a direct drive Sony turntable. Now, if I ever replace my Audio Technica, it's going to be with a Technics SL1200. And of course, the price is obscured. Now, this ticked me off. I really could have used a 5-inch take-up reel. I've only got 7s and 10s right now. But of course, it was an empty box. And then I found a whole stash of still-sealed take-up reels for 8mm film projectors. Could use some of those too. And I grabbed 3 of them, took them to the cash register, and was informed that the guy that runs that booth skipped town and nothing is being sold from it. Oh yeah, and I found some religious reel-to-reel tapes, which I couldn't have bought if I wanted them. In that electronics section, there was a bin of random cables for $1 a piece. I grabbed 3, a spare S-video cable, and a couple of mono 1/8-inch patch cables, of which I don't wish to steal them from my synthesizer, so yeah. Otherwise, I found 3 8-tracks all off camera, a record ripoffs candidate that I may actually already have on vinyl, a copy of Linda Ronstadt's Silk Purse, if I ever move to it, one of my all-time favorite albums, and a replacement for my Eaten Bread Baby I'm a Want You tape. And yeah, that really did happen. That's not one of my little jokes. And lastly, the $9 LP I picked up was an original 1969 issue of the first Allman Brothers album, which got remixed in '73, and this is the first time I've seen the original mix on vinyl in the wild, period. Not in great shape, but in good shape, and worth the price. This condition usually fetches north of $20 on Discogs. And on to today's last store, Pickers. I almost never find anything here, but we'll give it a shot. Right out of the gate, a very nice condition, if very orange, Zenith Portable TV from 1977. Not in the market for anything like this, but if this is working properly, I would imagine they could get that $125 they want for it. Geez, all you need is one of those Globe 8-track decks and a beanbag chair to go with it. Oh, here we go with the price gouging on sealed 8-tracks again. Now, I already have this Rock 1980 tape in the record ripoffs pile, sealed, and I would grab a spare copy, but out of principle, I am not paying $11 for it. And let's find out why I named this episode the way I did. Pickers had a whole stash of mostly pre-Conelrad kitchen radios, if you will, some of which date back to at least the 30s. And I actually would kind of like a Conelrad era radio with the full-sized civil defense markers, but I haven't seen one that looks, serviceable yet, but yeah, it's on the someday list. Well, there's one Conelrad era one, but the markers are really dinky. I love the design of these 1930s radios, but they're almost always trashed, and actually that Songbird might be from the late 20s. And yeah, that's about what a radio looks like after I've been forced to listen to Adele. Getting into some of those 60s miniature transistor radios. Cute little Motorola back there, and the Conelrad markers are a little more pronounced on that one, but again, it looks trashed. Slightly more modern and very much post-Conelrad Motorola there. Now, at first, I thought this was someone's homebrew tube tester or something, but no, this is a Radiola 3 from RCA from the mid-1920s. They want $213 for it. It's missing some parts, there's no amplifier, otherwise these were headphone only, and they couldn't be bothered to wipe off the dust first. But hell, they'd probably just call it patina. Anyway, another Stuart Warner, and a very plain-looking one. But it was the Heath brand thingy next to it that really caught my attention. This is for CW, Morse code for amateur radio, and my CW skills are non-existent. Looks really nice, though. And one more radio. A Motorola designed to look like the world's smallest suitcase, I guess. And true to form, it's trashed. I think this is the earliest Polaroid I've ever seen in person, made no later than 1953, and I don't know what I would ever do with it. And it took me forever to figure out how to close that thing back up. But it's in really nice condition. It'll make some collector happy, I'd imagine. I hope to eventually do something on all the oddball stabs at a projector for Viewmaster reels. This is just the ultra basic one from the 50s, but I don't have it. I haven't been able to take a crank phone seriously since the video for Weird Al's Amish Paradise. Damn you, Al. A little home pinball-esque game back there, which looks to be in really nice condition. I only grabbed the Viewmaster projector at $15. It does work, but it gets alarmingly hot alarmingly fast. So I'm gonna have to dismantle this and see if it's just dirt in there or if there's a short or something in there. Now, I did grab a precious few seconds of this in action with one hand on a kill switch, if you will. And the final haul for this archive thrifting adventure, which was barely thrifting at all, consists of a spare cassette caddy, maybe for important tapes, maybe for infamous tapes, a very, very early issue of the first Allman Brothers album, and funnily enough, I tend to mix and match the 1969 and 73 mixes of that one. I got the hot-headed Viewmaster projector. I got Harold Lloyd's 3D Hollywood in damn near perfect condition, and as far as I know, this never did come with glasses, strangely enough, given Lloyd's image, so I guess I'm going to have to scrounge some up somewhere. I got 3 8-tracks, one very country-heavy record ripoffs candidate, a replacement for the infamous Eaton bread tape, and once again, yes, that really happened, and Linda Ronstadt's Silk Purse, with a very badly reworked track list. This is not the sort of album you want to resequence. I also got a spare S-video cable, because the pins on these things suck. And lastly, I grabbed 2 1/8-inch mono audio patch cables. And the cost of this haul came out to about $55. And that's it for this installment of Archive Thrifting. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend, everyone, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Well, life on the farm is kinda laid back. Ain't much an old country boy like me can't hack. Early to rise, early to sack. Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, I got me a fine life, got me old bitter. When the sun's coming up, I got cakes on the griddle. Life ain't nothing but a funny, funny riddle. Woo! Thank God I'm a country boy. Yeah.